So let's talk about how to deal with people in your life who are bringing you down. These are people that I call either difficult or I like the word toxic. So what's the secret with dealing with these types of people? Because these types of people can destroy your life. There's really a spectrum of toxicity of other people in your life. Sometimes you have mildly toxic people who are just more like an annoyance or a frustration, but then it can get so bad on the other end of the spectrum that it really gets into abusive territory, just like very dysfunctional territory. And one of the things that's really key to understand about your life is that you are like a sponge. And no matter how personally developed you are, how successful you are, how happy you are, how optimistic you are, if you are living in a negative environment, whether it's a negative physical environment, but here we're talking about negative relationships. If you're living in this kind of negative relationship environment, then this is robbing you of your potential, and it's basically making you miserable, and these people, they're dragging you down.
A Philippine podcast show dedicated to help you thrive for greatness.
This guy is phenomenally passionate about what he does.
How freaking amazing Jameer is. So skilled and so qualified, and I highly recommend him.
Without a doubt, the best funnel builder I've ever come across.
Yeah, really into the detail, and cannot recommend him highly enough.
Not only was efficient and fast, but he understood the project.
The person who built our entire funnel from beginning to end and has been with us since day one is Jameer.
Nothing But Up, the podcast. With your host, Jameer and
I'm always flexing.
Welcome to the podcast. This is Jameer Angelo, your host for Nothing But Up, the podcast. And guys, you're tuned in to episode number 17. And I think before we officially start off the show today, my prayer goes out to the entire country that is currently going through Typhoon Rolly right now. The Philippines. Take care, everyone. And we were all informed, way ahead of time about this typhoon, which I heard is the strongest to hit our country in a while. So hopefully you guys are keeping at it, following all the precautionary measures given by our government, and forced evacs for some areas are also, I know it's going to be really tough. With the pandemic and the virus still, going on, and having to go all in just one place at an evacuation center will be a challenge for all of us. But we're still gonna have to observe social distancing and shit, despite being in the evacuation center. And I just really couldn't imagine it. So guys, just stay strong, keep at it, and just have faith, guys. We'll go through this. And moving on, I just want to give my shout outs first to some people that I owe to mention this podcast. Rafi J, shout out to you, man. It's been a while since last time I saw you. I appreciate you for subscribing to our YouTube channel and for spreading the word around. And if you're someone new on our show or on this podcast, and it's never too late, guys. Subscribe to our channel. That's Funnel Expert PH on our YouTube, and you can also follow us or the podcast, and download and listen all of our episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts, and some other platforms, avenues where you can stream this. And lastly, I just want to say my shout out to my ever supportive wife and partner, my best friend, Macy. Thank you so much, babe. Appreciate you. And just a little update, guys. For everyone, I know that for some of you, I've been getting messages and calls for people that are really dying to get access to the online course I'm putting up. I'm going to do the video shoot this week and the next week, onwards. And the course is almost complete. I'm going to be running some beta testing by the third of the week this month, November. And I'm only opening about 20 slots, for 20 people. And this means that I'm giving 20 free access to my online course, which is absolutely for free, guys. And this course will be sold at a very premium price. So if I choose you, you're damn lucky. Okay, so I'm gonna be picking you, but I'm going to tell you, I'm not just giving this away, just like that. I'm going to be picking who to give the course to, and for sure, I'm not going to be sharing this to someone who is a complainer, who is not an action taker, and someone who I know that is toxic. Never going to be a part of it. You will never ever going to be having the chance. But anyway, speaking of toxic people, our topic today is about how to deal with, difficult and toxic people, right? I mean, today's guest is really someone I know that is truly an absolute blossom of positive vibes. We have Melanie Hersch at today, a psychotherapist turned dating and relationship coach. She's been featured in Oprah magazine and Psychology Today, right? And she helps her clients up their self-esteem, change their dating game, so they can draw in, with more well-matched partners with more ease. And let's try to get her perspective on that, and maybe let's check how she deals with, negative and toxic people. That's going to be pretty exciting for all of us. But guys, if you ask me, I only have one rule, and one rule only, when it comes to dealing with toxic people. The fucking negatives in this world. You know what I mean? I totally ditch them off. I fucking run away. Now, this topic is so personal to me. It's because over this past, say, few months, I've dealt with a handful of shit like this. And one thing I did that literally changed everything for myself and for my family is that I totally disconnected with those type of people. And it was perhaps, I'd say, one of the best decisions I've ever made. I disconnected my ties with them. And I have no regrets of doing so. You see, to become positive, you need to surround yourself with positive people. So you don't have to deal with complainers. I mean, people who always complain about every single thing in this world, right? Nah, that's a no for me. And do you also really need to deal with people that always find the negative in every freaking situation? Hell no, right? I run away instantly the moment I sense it. But what if that toxic type is a client? So, I mean, I know that we got a bunch of freelancers tuning into our podcast show, and a couple are doing some virtual assistant jobs here and there. And you might be kind of like dealing with this, or even myself or our guest could be dealing with that too. Let's try and figure that out later. And so for someone like me, I mean, who works full-time online and has to deal with multiple clients every freaking day, how can someone go about dealing with negative or toxic clients? That's the biggest question, right? And some of you might find this crazy. So guys, if you're tuned in right now, that's the topic for today. I'm just gonna put that in. There you go. So drop your comments in. We'll read it through on this episode as we go along. And I know for myself, luckily for me, I don't or never had to go through that professionally. There are maybe some instances in the early years when I started working online that I had to endure that situation. But luckily, or I mean, not luckily, but strategically, I found a way on how not to ever work with a toxic client ever. And that secret is called filtering. Before I take on a job, I filter my clients. And some of you may not be familiar with this, but I'm just going to share this short one for you. What I do is that I run a research first, and most importantly, I have an onboarding process, which I'm going to share with you. You see, I get over 20 to 25 job interview invites daily on Upwork every single freaking day. And before I even respond to them, I run my due diligence. I research the client over, the one who invited me, and I'll try to get a good, feel about who they are, what they do, right? And I gauge it based on their posts on, say, social media, their websites, their reviews, even their travel history. Believe it or not, I make that as a base point. Even their relationship status as well, and dig into to check some of their videos or photos. And when I see that it is definitely someone that I feel, comfortable in working with, to work for them, in that case, that's when I respond to their invitation. Then I send them a video of myself, introducing myself to the client. I tackle the job description. I ask for a video call schedule. That way we get to be on a call. The client will already have a good understanding as to who I am, understanding on how I will handle the job described. After the call, I send out an onboarding process. And this is a set of questions or prerequisites about, the project. And trust me, guys, when you follow this strategy I personally formulated, you will never, ever have to deal with toxic clients ever again. That's how I handled it. So anyway, I'm really pumped up, so excited to get our guest on today's show. But before that, let's go through some comments. We got a comment here from Arvin Lee. Wow. Good morning to you, Arvin. Here, got another one for him. This topic is super timely for me. Not just you, but for myself. I'm dealing with a lot of stuff like this right now. So, yeah, I know everybody could relate. Whatever country or region you're in, people would certainly, relate to this. But anyway, guys, you got a question there? Comment below. Just tell us how you deal with those type of people, toxic and negative people. Maybe we can also learn something from you guys, from our viewers and listeners right now. And right now, let's try and get a quick word from a sponsor. And after that, let's get our stunning guest for today. Okay?
As they say, food takes people to places. So during these crazy times, one can take his taste buds on a trip to Western Visayas by trying out one of its specialties. If you've ever been to Negros Occidental, you may have already tried its famous comfort food, Cansi. It's a dish made with slow-cooked beef shanks in deep sour broth soup. Bacolod City is particularly famous for Cansi. It's an iconic Ilonggo dish that is now available in Cebu. Good news for Cebuanos. You can now indulge with a bowl or two of Cansi in Cebu. Introducing Cole's Cansi. Located in the heart of Cebu. Open to serve you daily. To order, visit and message them on Facebook. Satisfy your craving and relieve that stress away. Cole's Cansi, an iconic Ilonggo dish that is now available in Cebu.
I'm always flexing.
Alright guys, welcome back to the show. This is episode number 17 for Nothing But Up the podcast. And despite this typhoon that we are all facing, you can see how passionate I am. I'm still here running an episode at this very late in the morning. And this is all for you guys, okay? And I'm doing this for you. Much love to all of you that have supported me and our show. To date, we are a little over 10,000 listeners on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts combined, and a little over 2,000 downloads we're hitting based off the first episode down to episode number 14. So again, I appreciate the love, you guys. Thank you so much. And now, when it comes to love, now this is pretty interesting. Passion and also commitment. I, for one, believe that our guest today holds those characters in, right? And no kidding. To tell you a little backstory, our guest today came to me, I think 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, asking help with her funnel, sales funnel, as the person who was in charge with, completing that left her hanging somehow. The reason that I really don't know. So I pick up the project, worked with her and completed it for her. So today we are still connected amazingly, right? Over those 2 years. And one of the few clients that I have on my plate, as always. And I realized that we're working together for quite some time now. And for me personally, it's not really about, how phenomenal her project, her offers or services that she has, which is the reason why I stuck with her. Although obviously I grew up super fast over this past few years, but it wasn't really all about it. It was all about her character. And that really pulled me in. And she is an absolute gem, to tell you honestly, one of a kind. And to have her jam with us today in our podcast is such an honor for me, and it should be for all of you, because we'll be learning a lot of things from this episode. So again, guys, we have a psychotherapist turned dating and relationship coach, and as what I mentioned earlier, she has been featured in Oprah magazine and Psychology Today. And the proud owner of Good At You. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Miss Melanie Hersch. Welcome to the show, Mel. I'm going to bring you in now.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi. Such a nice introduction. So sweet. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it's all for you. It's all for you, Mel. Being here in our podcast is such a great honor and privilege for me.
Well, I'm delighted that I get to talk with you, and you always have such a great energy, and and I so appreciate it. So I just love any chance I get to engage with you.
Yeah, it's all about that, right? Positive vibes.
Totally.
Produces positive results. So that's why I was really meaning to have you. And again, I know that I've been bugging you for maybe like 3-4 weeks now. So
it hasn't been a bother at all. I was busy, but I'm so glad that we can do this now.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mel, again, I don't want to hold this off any longer. Maybe let's dive right into it.
Okay.
So Mel, tell me, how do you deal with negative or toxic people?
Yeah, such a great question.
Right?
I think, and I loved what you were saying about it. I just have to say about, you don't have to have those people in your life. And so for me, it's about, if you discover that someone is toxic, like legit toxic, then it's setting a boundary and getting out, who we surround ourselves with is so important. It influences our whole life. And so, if you have family members or you have friends or coworkers or people, that you're engaged with that have a toxic energy, I think the first step is, bringing it up and sharing what's happening for you and what you're needing more of, and setting a healthy boundary. This is what I need. This is what's okay. This is what's not okay. Like giving them an opportunity to show up potentially. And if they don't, and the energy remains toxic, then it's moving them out, because I don't think we have time in our lives for toxic people.
Correct. And I mean, you've been in the coaching niche for quite a while now.
Yeah.
Does it ever came across to you when I mean, clients with such negative energy coming in, and you had no idea that they do have that negative energy? How do you deal with those?
Yeah, it's interesting. I used to get it a lot when I was a therapist in training, and I'd have all these clients show up that I had to take them, and just toxic, such a toxic energy where they turn on you and attack you. And my job in training was to just hold space, and it's challenging, but
it is. It must be.
Yeah, that was not. And so I have transitioned. So I'm no longer working as a therapist, and I'm working as a coach. And what I love about that is that I have control over who I work with. And so if someone comes in and I don't, I screen, just like what you were saying, which I love, that like you screen who you work with, which is so important. Like that's everything, and so if I had a good initial conversation with someone, decide to work with them, and then just one of those negative Nellies who's everything, I'm a victim, everything's a victim, and they're not willing to take responsibility for anything, I would say, listen, I don't think we're a good fit to work together. It doesn't seem like we're making the kind of progress that we need to, and I think you would be a better fit for someone else. And they can get mad at me for that, but I have to, they're going to get mad at me anyway. So you might as well kick them out and take their anger in that format than, be working with them.
Oh, wow. That's pretty interesting. And with what you said, it just came across me right now. Yeah. A memory I had maybe about 4 years ago with a client I used to work with that really dragged the shit out of me, man. And I never really had that one thing I shared earlier about having some filtering that you do over for clients. I never had that system before until I realized that I needed that. Especially at this day and age where people are really transitioning online, right? Like business is over. So the demand when it comes to sales funnels and stuff like that is higher compared to before. So going back to that memory, it was really a painful one. It didn't end up so well for both of us. Both alpha males, going at each other and trying to belittle Filipinos like myself. That I really don't tolerate. And that was something really serious. But guess what? 2 months after that incident, the client came back to me, apologized, and I was really surprised.
Wow.
And then he offered another job. And
did you take it? And how did it go?
It actually went well. It was a live event that was hosted in Dubai, a Middle East client I had. So at first, to be fair, it went well at the start.
That's great.
And then it just came across, some issues with, getting back and forth with ideas on how to optimize the funnel, which is again always the key to every funnel success. And then it also came to the point with, the workload I'm having, delays in delivering, which some part of it may be coming from me, that I admit, because I didn't anticipate to be having that much of revisions going over, and it was a total revision in that sense.
Yeah.
But he was man enough to admit. And who am I not to forgive, right? So
yeah, that's a big deal. I think when someone can take personal responsibility for how they acted and be able to say, I'm sorry. And I could have handled it this way. I'm going to do it differently. Like, to be able to own up to that is so big. And that speaks to, growth within him. So I think it's great you gave him another chance.
I was really surprised, Mel, to be honest with you. And knowing him as a real alpha male, I was blown when he went over and contacted me. He didn't chat me or whatever or emailed me. He just literally called me on WhatsApp and was caught off guard because I didn't know the number. And I was like, this could be another client inquiring. So I took the call in.
And they're toxic person.
Oh shit. Oh shit. What will I do? So yeah, but I mean, it went well. So but I don't consider him as toxic, to be honest with you. It's just that there were situations within the campaign which was uncontrollable at that time.
Yeah.
But we patched things up, which was great. But enough about me. I want to know more about you. And I was really meaning to caught you off guard, but I don't think I can do that. So I'm interested to know this, Mel, because I mean, I did some digging with you. I know you love music, and you had an album back in the days. And at a very young age during that time, I sensed that you were so passionate about songs, songwriting, and making music. How did you start with that?
I started playing guitar and singing when I was an angsty teenager who just needed an outlet to express, how I hated my parents at the moment or whatever was coming out. And and then in college I just started playing more, and I had an advisor in college who I was trying to pick what my major was going to be. It was between two things, and so she said, "Tell me about what do you like about this one, this one thing?" And I told her all the things, and then she said, "Okay, so what do you like about music?" Because that was the thing. I was like, "Should I focus on music?" And so as soon as I started talking about music, I was maybe 15 seconds in. She said, "Stop! You have to do music." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And she just said, "The way that you're talking about it, like the passion that you have, like hands down, this is the place to go." So from then on, I just fully committed myself to music and writing, and I ended up meeting someone who took me on tour with them. This was before cell phones. This was before cell phones had the video, like where you could.
Yeah.
This was like back in the flip phone days, but. So I was on the road and playing music and recorded an album, and that was my focus. Loved it.
Nice.
Yeah. It was so
well, you know what? I appreciate you for sharing that. Are you originally from California or no?
I am. I grew up in Los Angeles.
Nice. You're pretty much exposed with, the celebrity lifestyle there. And I know guys from California are, the state alone has produced so many artists over this, past few decades.
There's so many musicians. I went to a high school. It was very artsy, a lot of famous people's children. And the focus was just really on, what do you love, pursuing what you love. And so that kind of pushed into that realm.
Perfect. I love that.
Yeah.
I never had that opportunity to ask you.
I love it. I love that you were looking at it. Yeah, it's funny. That stuff still shows up. Yeah.
Yeah. If I was peaked, I mean, my interest was peaked over that because I myself, I grew up, I don't make music. I really love music.
Yeah.
I can adapt to all sorts of genre you could throw at me. Anything that you can name, I'm up for it. When I was growing up, I was also doing some, remixing music, DJing on the side, and my passion. So when I heard that you were once a songwriter, I didn't know that you're still playing, and I was really blown by how you started.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I love that you've got music in your blood too.
Anyway, from making music, Mel, to becoming a relationship, or dating coach, how was the transition like? I mean, that's it might have been a big jump, right? From a young age, doing music, making music, and to getting in this profession you're in right now.
It was kind of brutal. It was pretty brutal for me. I moved music my whole world, and my whole community were these songwriters that were just traveling around, and so I was a part of this community, and I felt so close with all these people. So when I decided to walk away from music, it was painful. I felt like I was losing a community, losing an identity. Like I saw myself, Melanie, the songwriter. Like, who am I without that? And but I just found that the more that I put this focus on music to be my career, I felt not as creative, because I felt this pressure, like I've got to keep writing songs and I've got to put things out because this is how I'm making money. And so I wasn't able to just write because I was inspired. It felt forced. So at some point I just, I needed to walk away, and I didn't know what to do afterwards. I didn't know who I was. Like, what am I here to do in the world if it's not music?
And you were how young during that stage, Mel?
I feel like I was kind of older for people that were, let's see, I decided to go to grad school when I was 30 or 31. And that's when it took me a while to figure out, like, what do I want to do? So 30, 31, I decided to go to grad school, get my master's degree, and become a therapist. And so, because I loved talking with people, and I was so interested in personal growth and development. And so it seemed like a natural, okay, let me go this direction. And, so that was the transition. And, it became less painful to leave music. Now it doesn't feel painful at all.
Nice. Interesting story there. Now, if you try to look back, I mean, what was if we're talking about pain, right?
Yeah.
What was the most unforgettable and maybe your the painful experience you ever had that led you to becoming who you are right now?
Yeah. That's I love that. Let's just go in deep, Jameer. Yeah, I love it. What is your deepest pain? Yeah, I love that. I think life is full of there's so many little things that happen that shape us and change us and are painful. But when I think of the one that stands out for me, which is, it doesn't seem like this would be a life-changing event, but it was, it was right as I was ending grad school, and I met this man on online dating, and we had this chemistry and this connection. And I had graduated from my master's degree program, and that same day when I finished my last final, I hopped on a plane to Bali for 3 weeks to have a journey. And I spent my whole time in Bali, instead of enjoying the culture, I was at internet cafes writing with this guy. I was like obsessed with this guy and keeping our connection going. And so I spent my whole time out there engaging with him, came back to the States and saw him. And after that one date, he disappeared. And I was devastated. I was crushed. And while I was in Bali and I was talking with him, he was getting this commercial. He was an actor, and he got a commercial on some jewelry commercial where he was like proposing to a woman. Anyway, so he disappeared, but I saw him on commercials for the TV shows that I loved for years. Like, I'm like, there's the guy that I got heartbroken by, like proposing on a commercial, like kissing. And I'm like, God damn it. Like, so, but it was interesting because that experience, like, it crushed me on a level that I didn't realize, like, how crushed I could get from a person walking away. And it made me realize, like, I have a real love addiction. Like, I am not whole within myself. I'm making other, people, men specifically, the source of my well-being. And so it was at that time that I sought out a spiritual counselor, a woman who just dropped in with me and helped me really look at, like, what I was doing. And that was a game changer for me. And that really changed my direction and how I, work with people and who I am. So I'm so grateful that experience happened, because it's like I needed to be gutted to really, be able to serve people fully. Yeah.
Yeah, and it served you well. So it turned out to be a good or a positive thing.
It did.
But man, I just, dude, if I were in Bali, why would I go in a computer shop and not enjoy the place? I mean, Bali is amazing.
I know, it was like the most ridiculous thing. I mean, I would, go on little excursions and do things, but like my main focus was how do I get to the computer shop so I can. Yeah, it was like I was obsessed, and that was. I mean, life needed to kind of just slap me and toss me down. And
so
girl, come on, like,
wake up.
Yeah, you're wasting your time here. Yeah.
God, it is a funny story, but it's pretty interesting. Because I know for a fact some people could probably relate to what you've been through. Yeah, it's interesting. I love that.
Heartbreak that kind of ends up you.
And in most instances, it's really true.
Yeah.
Especially with I could probably relate to that. I may look strong and motivated and shit, but I'm a pretty emotional guy too, and most of the time, that really conquers my judgments and decisions sometimes in life. But as I matured well in life, I was able to balance it, luckily.
Yeah.
So
finding that balance.
But for most people, they are probably facing that same situation right now, and that could be a good takeaway for this podcast for everybody, is that not all heartbreaks could crush you, or could crush your entire life.
Yeah, I mean, I think that anything that's crushing us, like in the moment, like if something has us on our knees and it's devastating, there's a huge gift in there. I think that every challenging moment provides such a huge gift, and that's kind of the place that I come from with my clients. And when I'm doing this work, it's like we could take that victim stance, which the toxic people do, right? And it's like, oh, this happened to me and I'm just such a victim and let me just throw that all on you. Or we can just say, okay, what can I learn from this experience? What can I gain from this?
Exactly.
Better myself from this experience.
Try to get a positive out of it, right?
Yeah.
Instead of complaining or throwing the blame to other people and stuff like that, and which is really true. And God, Mel, that I don't know, it really sounded so personal, and I really appreciate you for sharing that. Even myself, I'm blown by that story, to be honest with you. But Mel, with all the shit that you've been through, right? With that heartache, and it could be possibly even more than that.
Yeah,
that could be somehow very personal to you. But out of those experiences, and taking you to where you are at the moment, what do you consider would be your biggest breakthrough? At the moment.
Yeah, there's so many. I feel like they're all the time. There's always a new breakthrough. But I mean, if I had to say just like an outlook breakthrough, like something, I don't think this was like a one particular experience, but I think for me, one of my biggest breakthroughs was just really getting how much power I have over how I feel in life. Like, I think that walking through life, it's so easy to just feel like things are happening to us. There's a typhoon, there's things that are happening that we don't want. And so it's just so easy to kind of get caught up in that and be victim-y in our lives. And I think when I finally got at some point, like, oh, yes, bad things or challenging things happen, but I have control over how I see it. I have control over how I choose to work with this in the lens that I choose to look at it through. And that, for me, I think that's been the biggest game changer, biggest breakthrough for me, is just that I don't have to be a victim. Whenever I feel like a victim, there's something deeper to look at to unearth that, because I'm not a victim and none of us are victims. And so I think that's been the biggest game changer for me.
Yeah, and I believe that breakthrough could probably, or has probably, led you to another breakthrough, to another breakthrough.
Yeah, and they're endless. They're endless. Life is always providing us new opportunities to break through, for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nice. And I believe you're one of the few people I know, Mel, to be honest with you, that really knows how to communicate that well, and you could easily try and tap people's emotions in. So I know that you're really doing good and well with your business. So speaking about business, I mean, let's talk about Good At You, your company.
Yeah. Good at you.
How did you come up with a name?
I know. I don't even know if it's. I've been told by some people like that's not really a good business name, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll explore that someday. But I originally, I chose Good At You because it's like learning how to be good at yourself, and I feel like if we walk around in life and we're not good at ourselves, we don't know how to navigate upsets and challenges and communicate and own our feelings, then life is going to be so much more challenging. Our relationships will be more challenging. So it's really about doing the inner work so you can have healthier relationships on the outside and just be a happier person.
Nice. And that's also the concept behind that, right? The name itself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
one thing which is unique, I don't know about some people, maybe let's say 10, 15 years ago, this name could probably not stand out. You know, when it comes to SEO and stuff.
Yeah.
Man, this at this day and age is really outstanding. It could stand out.
Oh, good. Well, maybe there's
for sure it's unique.
New name.
So it will literally leave a mark.
Sometimes I think it's confusing. It's like Good At You. I mean, I get the meaning, but maybe I don't know. I don't know how it lands.
It has so much positive in it, to tell you honestly. The word good and you.
Yeah.
You take that as a positive.
Yeah.
And when people try to when people visit your site and check it out, automatically they can see and sense that positive vibe in. And just by looking and staring at it could literally mean so much for some. Like someone like me, for example. I'm a big believer of that. So it's really nice. And yeah, I mean, how's it going with the pandemic? I mean, I know in California it's been crazy there. How's the pandemic been treating you as far as business is concerned? Because for sure you can't meet people face to face right now.
Yeah, well, and it's been actually really good. I mean, it hasn't really changed my business. I think, if anything, people are more hungry for connection because everyone's told to stay at home and not interact. And so for those people that are single and they're at home and they're seeing all their friends are married and coupled and they've got a little tribe with them, they feel more lonely. And so they're more inspired to do the work so that they can bring in a partner. But yeah, it's a different world. Dating is different. There's so many questions with, social distancing and how do we do it safely and all of that. But
I mean, shit like that could be a big problem, especially in the dating niche.
I know, right? Well, I think the cool thing is you really have to trust. Like, if you are going to be safe, it's really about being discerning with who you're with. Like, do you really trust this person to get closer to them? Do you feeling their energy, trusting your intuition, I think.
Do you think that's one of the maybe advantages you can say?
I think totally. Like, having to go slower and tune in to how you feel about this person more versus jumping in. I think people are having more, Skype, FaceTime, whatever conversations first. So you're getting someone's vibe. And I think it leads to more emotional intimacy because you're having to get to know each other. You're not going to the movie theater to watch a movie. You're not doing activities in the same way. So you're kind of stuck with actually just having to get to know the person.
Straight up. I mean, which somehow at this day and age could be pretty rare. And because of the pandemic, a lot of things has changed. Like what you said, having to go to movie theaters, dining out,
it's different.
It's impossible to do that right now. And how could you freaking date someone you like at a distance?
Yeah, it happens. It absolutely happens. And I think, but you're like cultivating relationships more on the internet first and video, and then moving it into real life. But yeah, there's a lot of amazing couples that are coming from this time period. I think a lot of divorces are happening and people are realizing this is not the person I want to be with. And a lot of great relationships are being born.
True. Pretty interesting there. And hold on here. We got a couple of comments here. Just gonna try and share this with you. We have one from Arvin Lee. So far, the only thing I'm doing is keeping this distance since I still can't figure out how to really deal with it. Oh, really now, huh? As far as I know you, I think you're one of the smartest person I know. You're pretty much active in social media too. But Arvin, come on. I don't know if you live by my rule, but once I see someone negative or really toxic, totally run away. That's one of the few things that I always do. But if I could somehow seem well within the mediocre side, I'll try to get the positives out of it. Because you, for one, as a person, you'd be able to gauge things out by the way how the people reacts, communicates, shows emotions and stuff like that. So, but Arvin, best of luck to you. I know you'll make it. Right? We got one here from Jackie. Hello, Jackie. Good morning to you. We have one from Phoebus. Phoebus, good morning. Here. Oh, the hearts. Good morning. So, guys, keep those comments coming in. We're gonna be, going through your comments later in the show. But I mean, Mel, again, I don't know how many times I've said this over, but I really appreciate you being here with me, jamming on my podcast, right? So, I mean, any final words for people that are stuck right now, dealing with toxic people? What advice can you probably give them?
Honor yourself. Like, if you are putting up with someone who's toxic and you're kind of hoping you can skirt around it and push it out and deal with it, but then go back to your life, it doesn't work that way. Like, toxic people will just seep into your whole being and take your energy. They're like, vampires just sucking good energy out of you. And you think that you maybe can deal with it, but it's, when you're laying in bed at night and you're trying to sleep, it's like, it's always there, And so I think really honoring yourself, like, is this a relationship that I want to have in my life? And if it's not, then really looking at, well, what is holding me back from taking this person out of my life? Like, what are the fears coming up for me about taking this person out and having a strong boundary here? And I think that's the area to look, is what is the resistance and what is fueling that resistance? And when you can work with that, then you're free, but until you do that inner work and figure out why you're staying in it, you can't be free. You're stuck in it. So I think that's the area to focus on.
Yeah, appreciate you for that. One thing which is interesting for me though, Mel, I've always wanted to go to the States. I wanted to experience how, the real dream is. I want to go there. But I want to ask you this. With us Filipinos, we have a very strong family ties, to be honest with you. And I'm not sure if you've heard, any historical facts about, our culture here. Now, just really came off the bat. What if that toxic people is maybe a relative or a direct relative that you have?
Yeah.
For us here in our country, it is pretty tough to eliminate or step back from those. How do you Americans do that?
Yeah. Well, it's rough. I mean, and I don't know. I think, listen, when you have a toxic person in your family, hands down, it is rough. Like, that's hard, especially when you live somewhere and the family ties, everyone's super close and super connected. I can see that being really challenging. And I think, you've got two options. Well, you've actually got more, but you can you can, remove yourself from interacting with that person one-on-one and and like set a boundary with that person, lovingly set a boundary. Or it's also setting a boundary with them, but also I think it's important to work on your mindset and the way that you are seeing that toxic person. So if they're in your family, I think a lot of times we get tweaked out because we think that their behavior is against us, like they're doing this thing to me. And I think it's just important to tune into yourself and seeing it differently. Like, this person is wounded. That's why they're behaving this way. This person is hurt. This person is sad. This person has low self-esteem. That's why they're acting that way. And almost instead of thinking that they're negative and focusing on negative energy, almost sending them love, like from your heart, just wishing that person well, almost just shooting, imagine like shooting love at them.
Yeah, I could imagine that.
Holding your space in, like almost like you're in a little white light bubble, like you're surrounded by this protective layer of white light. And when you go into a family event or you're around that person, you feel this shield around you, and you literally just send good energy because you know that they are suffering, and you focus on the people that you love and that you connect with, and just have a healthy boundary, a lot of love. I think that's one way to deal with it.
Nice. I'm going to take your word. I need that, I think, right now. So
and it's hard. Like, listen, it is super challenging. If you're in a situation you can't get out.
It is totally. I mean, if it's also coming from a direct relative, it's pretty hard. So maybe what I'm getting from you, it really doesn't matter if you're American, if you're Filipino, per se. The culture really doesn't matter. If I'm getting you right, set a boundary for yourself and give some love, because those people might really need those.
They need it the most.
It could be a result of maybe with some anger, insecurities, or whatnot.
Yeah, trauma, and they're like, whatever's coming up. But like trying to get it into the best place energetically, because when we're angry, and I've had this experience before with family member, like where I feel anger and I feel like they're really just their energy and I had to really do a lot of work within myself to just hold my ground, put myself in a little bubble and have good energy, and limit the amount of time that I have engagement with them one-on-one.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And maybe not just through, physical communication, maybe through social media too.
Social media. They're people in my life. I muted them on social media so I don't see their stuff, because it just doesn't feel good. I don't want to interact with them.
Yeah.
Or block them.
Just imagine, I mean, waking up in the morning, coming from a good walk or jog, right? Trying to sip a cup of coffee, scroll to your news feed, and all you see are freaking negative stuff.
Yeah.
Slapped in your face.
No. We have so much control over who we let in, and we have so many.
Correct.
So we use them.
Yeah, and why not? Why suffer if you can, right? If there's a way, right? And it's all for the betterment of yourself.
Totally.
All right, amazing, Mel. I mean, Mel, any final words that you can probably throw for people? I mean, aspiring funnel builders doing the same stuff that I do, and for freelancers in general, because I know that you've worked with tons of maybe a couple of freelancers in the past, especially in this pandemic situation that we're all in. Any word of advice that you can give away?
Yeah, and in any specific area or just in general?
Nothing, just in general. Yeah.
In general, I freaking love y'all. I think it's so, anyone that's working in this realm and you're doing your own thing, it's the best, and it takes a lot of work and energy. But I think for me, what comes up is just making sure you have balance in your life, and that work doesn't take over everything where you lose that balance. I think it's easy to lose ourselves in the work we do. And I know for me, like that, it's been easy for me. I get sucked into working all the time and and just making sure you're taking time for yourself, doing what you love outside of work, and really honoring yourself in terms of who you're working with, who you let into your life, and being really mindful about that.
Oh shit, Mel! I should have contacted you way before. I had that issue literally. I don't know if you've seen a couple of my posts, but I've had issues with my health. It was due because of myself being too overworked. Stress eating. I became obese and shit like that, but I was able to correct it. Um, it was really a definite pain. Trying to lose weight, gaining my sugar level go down. But you're definitely right.
Comfort food and all of that stuff. Yeah, I haven't, for some reason, I'm not seeing your posts. I'll have to look at my settings.
You may have muted me somehow.
No, I haven't muted you. You're not toxic. But the health problem, that stuff's real. It's like, and I know I had total burnout. So I get
it. Was. I mean, it came from different few reasons why I ended up to be having to endure this freaking situation I've been through. Because February this year, my dad passed away.
Right.
So after the burial and stuff like that, family gatherings here and there, my wife Macy and I decided to really want to take a quick vacation, just trying to refresh myself emotionally and all the crazy things I've been through.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic hit. So I had no choice. I had no choice but to stay at home.
Wow. Yeah.
Man. And then what happened was that instead of, because I'm still mourning with my dad passing away. So I had no diversion. So what I did is that when, tons of invites came in, took on more projects I could probably take from my workload. Yeah. So I was working like 18, 20 hours in a day. So to surpass and survive that day, I had to eat. And imagine this, Mel. I eat like 6 meals a day.
Small ones, big ones.
Exactly. So I was stress eating. And it came for a few months. And then when I suddenly decided when I kind of like stared myself, at the mirror, and what the hell happened to my body now? So I had myself checked. Went through blood chem.
Yeah.
Found out about the results, and guess what? Everything was so above normal. So sugar levels, blood pressure, my liver was hit. So it was really alarming, and I said to myself, this couldn't be happening to me. I'm so young to be suffering this. So yeah, you're right. I mean, for freelancers like myself, love your work, enjoy working.
Yeah.
But again, you're gonna need to balance life somehow. So
taking care of yourself, like take the weekend off, or like allow yourself to.
Which I didn't do, Mel.
Yeah, I hear you. Me neither. Like I feel like when you have your own business, it's so easy to just want to work. There's always more to do. So it's like, well, weekend to me, I'm like, well, this is just a large chunk of time I can work on my business, but there's never any rejuvenation. And so
exactly. I heard it the hard way. So
and now you have doing now.
Take it from Mel. Enjoy working. Appreciate everything that you're having right now.
Yeah.
But again, you gotta balance everything, man. You can't do it all.
Totally.
And even if you're earning way more and your health is affected.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like there's this, of course it's enticing when there's money coming in. It's like, I just want more money coming in. But then you look at, why do I want money? And it's like, we have this idea that, well, more money equals happiness. But if we're working all the time, there's no happiness. So it's not, there's gotta be balance.
Yeah, seriously, it really hit me so hard. I just literally realized that, this couldn't go on like this. So
how are you doing now, Jameer? Like, are you taking more time for yourself? And
I did my first check was about a month ago.
Okay.
That's when I realized that I got diabetes. My blood pressure was so high. Um, yeah, everything in my body was a disaster.
Oh.
Weight was a disaster. But then I took it really, really, really seriously. I was on medication within a month period of time from 100. I know you guys from the States calculate weight through pounds.
Yeah.
Here in our country, we do it by kilos.
Oh, no. So we go. Yeah.
I was at 103 kilos when I did my first check. And then it was just yesterday, actually, I went back to the doctor, got myself checked. Everything went back to normal. And it dropped from 103 to 94 kilos.
Oh my God! Yay!
In a span of a month. That was really, really. I never really imagined I could be doing that, but was really motivated. To better myself. I quit drinking.
Wow.
I disciplined myself with the food I eat. So from 6 meals a day, dropped to 3 meals now. Which was really hard again.
Yeah, you were in that pattern of eating in a certain
true.
way.
I mean, it was really drastic, but I gotta do what I gotta do. So, yeah.
Totally.
So that's gonna be one of the biggest takeaways for all you folks out there listening to this. Take care of your health. God damn it, money could just really be there, man. But it's not your total happiness. It's about your health. So keep at it. So Mel, again, thank you so much for your words, okay? And let's promote your stuff. I mean, with Good At You, and you can't deny this because I know that you're doing great with your business. I get notified through my email every time. I don't know, I forgot to delete my email every time sales notification comes in. You can't deny that. I'm getting that. Oh, wow, Mel's doing great. So what's keeping you busy right now? And I mean, what are the things that you're engaged or getting into right now?
Yeah, well, I've been working with a coach and just working on how to get the word out more about what I'm doing so I can serve more people. So right now, focusing on getting Facebook ads together and looking at adding some new things into my group coaching program and just trying to find, I've been on social media a bit more than I have been and kind of playing with that. So always trying to kind of look at how can I expand? How can I grow? How can I support more people? So that's really where the
really
focus
all about helping people.
Yeah.
Money will come in. The more you help people, money will really come in.
Yeah. It's like when you're doing what you love and you're coming from like, how can I serve you? I feel like
exactly. That should be the mindset always.
Totally.
Exactly. And guys, I'm gonna be dropping the links to Melanie's program and the site. Of course, if you're someone who's interested to working with Melanie, you can definitely try and visit the site and the programs she's in. And guys, if you want to get a good grasp of positive vibes, coaching you personally, Melanie is definitely a girl that you can contact.
That's sweet.
Awesome, Mel.
So
I know. Oh wow. I don't know. We're way past more than 30 minutes, I suppose.
I know. It's been fun. Yeah.
It was a good run, and I hope you enjoy the podcast, hanging out with me.
It was really fun. I'm so glad. I'm so glad you reached out. It's so nice to connect with you.
Yeah, I know. We connect good together. So I really wanted you to be here. Yeah. And knowing what you do, your profession, and how you help people out, I felt like we really needed to discuss this topic that we're talking about now. Yeah. Because everybody's facing this, especially with this pandemic going on.
Yeah.
We can see a lot of complainers out there, Mel. So yeah.
Totally. Oh yeah, and the political climate here.
Going to be a good wake-up call for all of them.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of complaining. So yeah.
I appreciate you again for being here. And once again, let's try and wrap up the show because I know that you're just right about what time are you in right now? Pacific time.
Oh, Pacific. Yeah, so it's almost 10:15 a.m. here.
Yeah, 10 in the morning. something to that nature. And it's still going to be a long day for you ahead.
It's a long
I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, this is perfect. I'm so glad to have this morning chat with you.
Yeah, it's going to pump up your day.
Yeah, it is.
Go on with your day.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mel, thank you so much for being here. And let's wrap it up. Once again, guys, thank you for hanging out with me. It's been a great pleasure and honor to be, having you joining us on our show today. This is Jameer Angelo, Nothing But Up the podcast, and I'll see you on our next episode. Peace, y'all.
I'm always flexing.
Thanks for tuning in. Download this episode and pass on the news. Hit like and subscribe. Watch out for our next episode coming out next.